Patrick, I just want to let you know that I do see your note about a surveyor. We understand completely if you have to drop off.
Thank you.
All right, it is 10 o'clock. I see we've got a good number of people on the call. So I am going to go ahead and get us started. So welcome to the Edwardsville Region Hope Coalition monthly coalition meeting call. And today is August 5th, 2026. It is 10 a.m. This is what our agenda is. We're going to go through our roll call, do out IDPH report, public health departments. Sean, can you view the lobby and let people in? Then we have our St. Louis Regional Healthcare Coalition, REMERT, the NDMS and veterans, our grant update, new business, old business, upcoming events, and our open floor. So let's go through our roll call. We're going to start with the hospitals. Anderson.
Eric Brandmeier, representing Anderson Hospital.
Thank you. Alton Memorial.
Good morning. Sorry, I couldn't get
okay.
the mouse to work. I'm good.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Boyd Healthcare Services.
Here.
Thank you. Carlinville Area Hospital.
Tyler Link here with Carlinville.
Thank you. Community Memorial Staunton.
Eric Brandmeier, representing Community Hospital Staunton.
Thank you. Fayette County Hospital. Gateway Regional Medical Center. Holy Family.
Patrick Small for Holy Family.
Thank you, Patrick. And you're here for Breeze as well, correct?
Highland, actually.
Highland, thank you. I wasn't sure. And so it rolled up already for me to be able to read that, so sorry.
No worries.
St. Elizabeth. St. Joseph Breeze. I'm going to skip Highland because we already know that Patrick's here. Jersey Community Hospital. For Memorial, Belleville, and Shiloh, we have myself, Sean, and Lee. Memorial Hospital, Chester.
Hi, this is Georgia Stipe. I'm here.
Hi, Georgia. Thank you. St. Anthony's. Redbud Regional. Sparta Community.
Dale is here from Sparta.
Thank you, Dale. Touche. Moving on to our health departments, Bond County. Calhoun County. Clinton County. Eastside Health District. Fayette County. Greene County.
Greene County present.
Thank you. Jersey County. Macoupin County.
Derek Taberza here from Macoupin County.
Thank you. Madison County.
Michelle's here.
Thank you, Michelle. Monroe County. Randolph County.
Deborah's here.
Thank you, Deborah. And St. Clair County.
Nicole and Tanner are here.
Thank you both. Moving on to our community partners, Regional EMS Coordinator.
Nicole's here. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine, Nicole. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Emergency Response Coordinator. Barnes Jewish Christian. Emergency Management Agency.
Samantha Rowland for St. Clair County EMA.
Hi, Sam. MedStar Ambulance. Abbott Ambulance. SSM Health St. Louis.
Good morning, Helen Sandquist, St. Louis University Hospital.
Thank you. Scott Air Force Base. I don't know why I skipped the first word. Stars.
Good morning. This is Kara Rosenkrantz and Shelley Brandt. We're both on for Stars and for the Healthcare Coalition.
Thank you. So I'm going to skip the Healthcare Coalition because we just heard from them. VA Medical Center. And the Rehab Institute of Southern Illinois.
This is Scott from Encompass Health.
Excellent. Thank you. So if you haven't already put your name into the chat, or if you came in a little later, make sure you get your name in that chat so we still give you credit for what you for being here. Now, is there anyone that is new, I did not call your name out, that is new to first time coming to our meeting? All right.
Sue, this is Jody Gardner from the St. Clair County Mental Health Board.
Perfect. Thank you. And did you already, and I'm just asking, have you already put your name into the chat?
Doing that right now.
Perfect. Thank you. We'll make sure we get you on our list of community partners so we can give you credit when you're here. So our do outs and open tasks, we don't have any of those today, so that's a good thing. It's going to bring us right into our IDPH update with Nicole Jones.
Thank you, guys. And I will first start off because I think I had a different meeting last month, so I don't think I was here for that one. So in the meantime, though, I think it was July 1st, OPR, which includes EMS currently, everyone had moved from, in the central office I'm talking about, from the 5th Street Bell location. It's now, they're now at 535 West Jefferson, 4th floor, zip code 62761. And don't worry, I'll send all this to you, Sue, so that way you can put it in minutes so you don't have to write it down.
You saw me frantically trying to write down there, didn't you?
Oh, no, I didn't even see you because I'm reading off of my Word document
Gotcha.
now.
Okay.
But no, I couldn't remember if I sent you that. Yeah. I know I sent it to the coordinators when it came up.
Gotcha.
So, but all of OPR has moved there. So that's Beth's section. Now, me and Beth are still based in Fairview Heights. We still have our regional areas, but if you need to send anything to the central office in Springfield, now that's at 535. I will tell you an incident came up, or an issue came up on yesterday, when I had my regional EMS meetings with the other regionals at the state level. Apparently, some folks have been FedExing documents to that old Bell building. There's nobody in that building, so there's nowhere for that to go. I believe UPS has been redirecting any mail that you've currently sent, like if you send it to the old address. If you send it through via the postal service, it's getting to 535 because they have that rerouting. But if it's like UPS, FedEx, there's nobody there to accept that the building's locked up. So that we have requested from Kelly Lokaitis to send out a blast email to everyone, because I don't think that happened. I know I sent my region info, but I don't think that a blast email went out to like all the providers or anything of that nature statewide from licensing. And I'm pretty sure we're going to have to update our forms to include that new address on there. But just to be aware that has changed. Like I said, I'll send that to Sue and she can send that out so that way you guys will have it. And it's supposed to be getting updated on our website, but I don't think it's done yet, because we were asking about that yesterday too. BedSync remains available for Illinois hospitals at no cost. The BedSync connects hospitals EMR to EM resource and automates the NHSN bed reporting for hospitals. So if you're still interested in more information on BedSync, you can contact Kelly Vabrick, who's our EMS licensing and deals with data managing too. Or you can contact Robert Van Bieber via email. I will say also, I think this was last week, we did find out when EMS is going to be moving back over to healthcare regs. I guess EMS started under healthcare regs before 9/11. When 9/11 came down the pipeline and the feds were giving the disaster preparedness grant. When it came to Illinois, it came to EMS, and that's where they kind of branched off, and OPR was built from there. Now, since all of that's kind of gotten shifted, they are going to be moving EMS back over to healthcare regs. OPR will still be there in itself, but it's going to be combined with health protection, which I think is kind of how that worked way back in the day. So we did get informed EMS will be starting our move over back to healthcare regs as of sometime in September. So when all that's playing out and when we get that finalized, I'll be sending out some information about that. Me and Beth obviously will still be working hand in hand together because that's what we do, but it'll just kind of change who we report to for certain things. Currently, Bobby Robert Van Bieber is still the chief of EMS and I think the title's like director over that Office of Health Protection and Response, something like that. But they did interview for that EMS chief position. Those interviews have closed. They just haven't chosen their candidate yet. So when we get that info and they're started, we'll send out an email regarding that. And then I'm also going to touch base again on, I think I talked about this in September, but in the light of what's happened recently, I'm going to talk about bypass and resource limitation. As you guys know, we had a hospital in our region that went on bypass or diversion last week. And I just want to reiterate the fact that one, you cannot go on bypass on your own accord. There's a whole process that you have to report and request to IDPH. There's a lot that you have to do on the front end where you try to do different things to mitigate needing to go on bypass. And it's not guaranteed that you're going to be granted the request. It's a lot if it's going to be based on the information that you provide. I had created a cheat sheet. Actually, one of the regional EMSCs up north created 1 year ago that's come down the pipeline. I've modified it a little bit for my use down here, and I modified it again after this incident occurred last week. So I will be, after this meeting, I will be forwarding that out to all my EMS coordinators plus Sue in the coalition, so she can distribute that. If you don't, so that way, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you will shortly. And that document you want to save somewhere just in case you may need it on some rainy day. Because if you call me wanting to request to go on bypass, that's the first thing I'm going to be asking you is where's that document? Because I'm going to need all that info. Resource limitation is still what it is. You don't have to contact me right away for resource limitation. You're using that if your CT scanner's down, if you're on, your MRI is not working. But be very cognizant on how much you're using that and how, because if you're going like over 24, 48 hours on using something, I'm probably going to be calling you, finding out what's going on, where's the part, how long is this going to be going on, and then you're probably going to be requested to send a letter out, an email out to the region saying my CAT scanner or whatever it is down for another week. And then coming off of resource limitation, going back to open status, and then sending out another email when it's done, because prolonged use of resource limitation is like bypass. So we want to limit, we have to be very cognizant on how we're using that. And that's going to be the next thing I lead into is really pay attention and make sure you're keeping your contact list updated, especially in EM resource. Because if we need to send out a blast email, and also with the coalition, making sure that you're updating your profile and stuff for Lee, so that way he can have that info. But especially in resource, EM resource, making sure that whoever you have listed as your contact is current. If not, then reach out to Kelly Vabrick to get that changed, because in the event that we need to send something through, like at one of the hospitals have to send something out to notify everyone that something's going on, and they're using the email addresses through that they find in EM resource and they're not accurate, you're not going to know about it. You won't know about it probably as quickly. So, but really make sure you're keeping that that up to date. And I think that's probably all I've got this time. I'll probably have more when we have our September meeting.
Perfect. Any questions for Nicole?
Yeah, I do. This is Eric Brandmeyer. Hi, Nicole.
Hey.
Do you not have the email addresses of the emergency preparedness people at all the hospitals? Because
I
you
do
said you
not.
were, okay. So
I
that's
do
why
not.
you're sending it to Sue so that Sue can send it out? Because you're
Yep.
basically, you're talking to emergency preparedness people and going to send that document to EMS coordinators who really don't have anything to do with what you described.
Well, yeah, and well,
Not
yeah,
really.
that's somewhat too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It makes sense. Okay.
And
Well,
Eric,
and
I'll
it's
make
just,
sure I get that out right away when she sends it to me.
Super. Thank you.
and Eric actually brings up a really good point, because that's part of what we probably, I would say, some of the learning pains of some of the hospitals I've dealt with that have been requesting it. It really depends on the size of the facility, because sometimes if it's a smaller hospital, it could be the emergency, like ED director is also doing emergency preparedness or something, and they have a close relationship with that EMS coordinator. Or if it's a hospital that is not a resource, if it's a participating and associate hospital, that chain of command could look a little bit different. And sometimes it's not even the response coordinator that's dealing with it, it's the compliance officer. So I've seen all sorts of scenarios. So yeah, I agree. So no, I am going to say, like I said, I sent it to the EMS coordinators initially. I couldn't remember if I ever sent it to you, Sue, now that I think about it.
Yeah, I
But
don't
the
think so.
first time I revamped it, when I got it from Region 1 and I kind of tweaked it, I sent it out to all the coordinators. I told them to send it to the associate and participating. But as I've progressed through this, I'm like, I want to send it out to as many people as I possibly can. Because every facility is set up a little differently, I've found. So yeah,
Agreed.
and so I will be sending it. Like I said, I'll send it to my 5 coordinators, but I'm also sending it to Lee and Sue to blast out to the coalition as well.
Yeah. It's not going to hurt for all of us to get an extra email with it. So thank you for that. All right. Any other questions for Nicole?
Yeah, Sue, it's Sean. Nicole, just quick question. What's been your experience thus far? Or more, I guess, importantly, is what's the feedback been from your hospitals for the integration of the bed sync?
Here's it's funny that you mentioned that, because I haven't gotten any. They haven't told me if anyone. I know there were some people that had been interested in it initially when this came out. Wasn't this last year, I think, that they started talking about this? And there were some people that reached out to Kelly, but Kelly hasn't given me a list back of who has really been considered that are getting serious about adopting it. So I'm going to I'll send her an email to see if I can get that. So that way I can let you guys know. Because she wasn't on our meeting on Tuesday, because usually she's on our regional EMS meeting that we have every month. But I think she was up in Chicago helping with some inspections or something, so she wasn't on there. So I couldn't ask. She usually gives some type of update about that. Because I was also going to ask her about licensing fees and whatnot. But I'll reach out to her and see what I can find out.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Hey, Sean, this is Eric. We use it in Maryville and in Staunton, and we love it.
Oh, you okay? Well, there you go. So, hey, anybody else? Anybody else on the call already opted in? Okay, just
thank you for providing that, Eric. I will, but I'll still ask
yeah.
her to see if there's anybody else.
Sure. All right. Any other questions for Nicole? All right. Public health.
I don't think Beth's on today, and I talked to her last week, but I haven't talked to her this week, so I don't think we got anything yet.
Yeah, I didn't see her name on the list. They're the people that are here. So moving on to STARS, turning it over to our STARS team.
Good morning, this is Kara. On the STARS side, I've got some courses and training offerings that we've got coming up here. You can see several of them I wanted to highlight are actually happening in Illinois. So take special interest there. One that I had several issues, IT issues and just multitasking issues. I'm going to go through. First one is that I left out our biochem workshop, which is coming up at the end of September. I shared the flyer with Sean. Hopefully he can share that out. Oh, did you do that, Sean, for me?
Right. Yeah, he was a step ahead of you. He's already got it in the
Thank you.
chat for everybody.
Right there
Thank you.
with you, Kara.
All right, I
somebody-
appreciate.
Yeah, can someone try and download it real quick just to make sure everybody has access? Thank you, Kara.
All right, no, thank you. So there's my issue number one, but that's an important one that we've got coming up at the end of September that I think is relevant to all of you and hope you can attend. My other issue is I put our training and exercise newsletter QR code on here to make it easy for those of you who are not already registered and want to get our training and exercise information sent to your inbox. And I used a different app through Canva, and this one has an ad. So I apologize for that. It works, but there's an ad that they're always trying to sneak in those money-making options, and they got me. So I do apologize for that. If you don't mind, I am going to go to the next slide to report on the HCC before handing it over to Shelley. She was our project manager on our summit yesterday and just wanted to give a few highlights on that. Knowing that you're going to talk about it a little later, she just wanted to talk about that. But if I could go ahead and then you can get move on to Shelley. The HCC has a couple items here. Grant update. Sorry, Sue, I don't mean to raise your blood pressure, but we're going through the same thing over here on this side. We are pending action from ASPR on getting those grants sent down. So we're working with the state of Missouri, the DHSS over here, and we're kind of, we're working through our side. So we're ready to go when that does come through. Our next HCC meeting is Friday on August 21st. If you don't have that information, feel free to reach out to any of us and I can get you that. And then one of the trainings I had listed on the previous slide is the healthcare behavioral threat assessment and management training that the Healthcare Coalition is hosting in partnership with the Association of Healthcare Emergency Preparedness Professionals and the University of Nebraska Medical Center. So we're having that training. Another IT issue that I had is this flyer doesn't seem to have attached. So I also sent that to Sean, if you could help out here. If not, I do have a link. Let's see. Give me 1 second. I will put the link in there regarding that training.
Okay.
And also with that link, I wanted to point out that they have reduced the price and they gave us a coupon code to make sure this price is only going to be $50. I think it was going to be, it came down to $200 for non-members, $100 for members. So now it's only $50 for non-members and $25 for members. So that's a huge discount. I hope everybody can take advantage of that. I will put both the link and the coupon code in the chat. And finally, save the dates. You're going to hear this a few more times at the monthly meetings, but the Healthcare Coalition Summit is going to be on November 12th. More details to come on that. With that, I will hand it over to Shelley to just talk a little bit, some wrap up on the summit. Thank you.
Thanks for that. We had our first St. Louis Urban Area Operational Readiness Summit this year. We're hoping to make this an annual event, and we got really good feedback. From what I've seen so far, everyone really enjoyed it, enjoyed the opportunity for networking. We had over 100 folks in the room. There were 12 different breakout sessions to choose from, 2 general sessions, and we provided a lunch, and everybody always loves that. And then on the second day, there was a tabletop exercise. We had Hagerty come in and facilitate that for us, as they always do. They did a great job. They tackled a cybersecurity incident in this tabletop, and we had phenomenal feedback from that as well. I think they struck a good balance of not getting too technical, but making sure that folks that maybe don't talk about cybersecurity every day were able to participate in the conversation and think through what their processes would be, who the authorities are, and things like that. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you all have to say about it, and I will take notes and get your feedback there. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you. Does anybody have questions for our STARS team? All right. There we go. For Remert, Mike is not here today, but I will share these are their upcoming events with the, I'm sorry, they already did these, with NASCAR and the Belleville Marathon being their upcoming ones. I will share with you that the ISP Youth Academy went very, very well, as did the fireworks. But what I want to show you is this one, the Fair St. Clair. We had a very large group of people. You can see your Hope Coalition folks who are out there in our bright orange shirts, making sure the whole world can see us. You can see our tent was up. We had the hospital going back there. I wish John was on the call here because you can see he was our boss during all this time, letting us know what to do, where to go, etc. I think it went really well. Even with the rain that happened, I just want to give a shout out to our MedStar folks, to Lee, to Jen Dorner. Again, those are those of us that are in our orange there. You can see some of our other Remert folks that are in the back right behind where I'm standing or John's standing. And I think it went really, really well for all of us. I learned a lot. And I even got to play paramedic for a day and take care of a patient with Jen as my partner. So I think it went really, really well. So thank you to everyone who came out. And I learned a whole lot about putting up and taking down the equipment for that tent. Not easy, but the team that you're seeing really makes it look easy. Do we have anybody from the VA, if Eric is on yet? Not sure he was going to be here today. All right, this is an older update that we have, so we're going to go ahead and just skip over our VA and DMS update. So let's talk about the grant. We've already heard the words blood pressure rising. So our grant has been submitted. It was in review by IDPH. It was sent back to me yesterday afternoon for some changes. I'm working on those today and not so mumbling under my breath as I'm getting it completed. Sean is in the office next to me, so he gets to hear me complaining as I do it. I have every expectation I will be done with those updates they want today and sending it back to them. So I'm not too worried about the changes. There's just some number changes they wanted me to make. I will share with you that the final report for our FY26 have been submitted to IDPH, and that grant period is closed out. Yep. Sean, it absolutely is drama in here. You know, I like the no drama llama concept, but yeah, there's a lot of drama in here during this part. Our next project request period for FY28 is going to be opening soon. That will be, you know, the fall's going to be here before we even realize it. It's already August. So start thinking about what you want to put into that FY28 grant as well. Do I have any questions about where we're at with our grant application? I will share that right now. Teresa, the person who is approving the grants, is happy with me. She responds to me on her days that she's working with, usually within 5 minutes. So hopefully we can get her just as happy with me when I resubmit this grant. So some old and new deliverables. I will be talking about this pretty much every month. Don't forget that in order to get grant money and for projects, you have to use the RIS 2.0 for your HVA. You don't have to take it to your hospital and use it or your organization and use it, but you do have to complete it. We will be doing PIO training. I have already started getting the training developed for our members. This is one of the requirements that we have for FY27 as an organization. The Hope Coalition needs to give you training. It does not mean everyone is going to become a PIO. That's not what we're trying to accomplish. What we're going to be doing is making sure that you understand what the PIO is, what a JIC is, what a Joint Information Center is, things like that. So we will have an update so that we can get dates and times for the coming year. I will likely be doing at least 7 or 8 different classes in different ways. It'll be the same class, but I'll present it 7 or 8 different times so that you can attend that. New policies. Again, I've told you before that we have to do some policies on acquiring, rotating, and storage of equipment along with our inventory and management protocols and policies. We're also working on some REMERT policies, and they blend together with some of the things that I've already told you about. We are taking advantage of this situation where we have to write these policies for the grant. We're making sure that we have all of the ones that we need for our REMERT program into place. Mike is not here to talk about it, but myself, Mike, and Lee are the ones that are working on it with the help of Scott for some of the medical part. So you'll be seeing these more when they come out. I will also be taking these policies that we write for REMERT over to our the St. Clair County Special Emergency Systems, the SES program, to make sure that they're aware of it as well, and that their board gets to take a look at it and approve those in their processes as well. Don't forget, we have our change to our resource request exercise. Previously, it was required to be health department initiated. It is now going to be coalition initiated, and we are going to encourage every one of you to participate. You'll notice the underlined things here. These are things I am supposed to do each month to encourage you to participate. Now, don't forget, for any sub-awardee with any travel that you have been approved with, so going into this period of FY26, 27, if you have received grant dollars for conferences and for travel, you are going to be expected to report out at the first coalition meeting after that event. And you're going to see what we're going to expect you to do. So these are some other standing reminders that we have. You are encouraged to be a part of the emergency department approved for pediatrics, EDAP, and the standby emergency department for pediatrics, SEDP. We also want to remind you that your facility should be incorporating NIMS principles in all planning and exercises. And EM resources, make sure your facility is submitting your updates by 10 a.m. daily. Consider enrolling your facility in Javari's BedSync program to help eliminate that need for the daily updates. Again, these are standing reminders that we are going to be going over every single meeting when we're together. That brings us up to our new business. This is the fun stuff. So first, we're working on some coalition recruitment. I visited the DaVita Regional Leadership Meeting on 7/28 last month. And I shared what our Hope Coalition does and invited them to become members. We've had, I believe it's 3 of their their location directors that have signed up through our Swill Hope location. Swill Hope site. I'm going to make sure we get these invitations for the actual meetings out to them. If you have some contacts for urgent care, these are the other ones that we're going to be focusing on in our region. We're going to be looking at urgent cares and long-term cares, other dialysis centers. DaVita, if you're not familiar, is a dialysis organization. Blood agencies, Red Cross, other groups, and thinking about Red Cross in disaster recovery. So that's those community emergency response agencies. I've already been reaching out to law enforcement and fire departments. We're going to expand that into some more of our EMS agencies that are in our region. So Millstadt, Monroe, Columbia, all of those groups that are in our area, we're going to be reaching out to them as well to invite them to be a part of our coalition. So now let's talk about what happens when you go to a summit or a conference or some type of travel that the that the grant would pay for. Now in this one, it did not. This wasn't something that the grant paid for, but I felt it was important for us to bring this information back. So you heard our STARS team talking about the St. Louis Urban Area Operational Readiness Summit. I am just going to start off with saying, here are the people that went. It was myself, Sean, Lee, and Aaron that went to the summit from our Hope Coalition. We also had a couple of our colleagues from BJC on the other side of the river that went as well. And I'm just going to show you, these are some of the topics that they had. I attended the Urban Search and Rescue Response to Tornado Events. Excellent. Got a lot of really good information from that one. Understanding how that response with the USAR happened and what they did. Some of my colleagues went over to the cybersecurity, critical infrastructure, and AI. So I'm going to let Sean talk about that one in just a second. I went at that same time to the Meeting People Where They Are, local EM's outreach toolbox. A lot of really good information from a very, very impressive. She was a meteorologist. Now she does a lot with social media. And she was really teaching us about social media and how we are going to kind of do some of that. So that made me start thinking and talking with Lee about some of our social media for the Hope Coalition. That's something we already have the accounts. We just have to really get them up and ramped up. So we're going to be working on that. And then I went to the mass fatality incidents, Think Outside the Jurisdiction. That was really, really good. I thought that was an excellent experience for me. I will share with our STARS folks, your speaker for that, spot on. He kept us so entertained and engaged in it that I didn't see people even on their telephone during a summit, which is always hard to do, to keep when you're talking to people who are also trying to deal with their work stuff and making sure that they keep up on those text messages that are coming in and everything. We were all so engaged that we had to make everybody else that was coming into the room next, they had to wait because we took it all the way to the last 30 seconds of the allotted time. So it was really excellent. And you'll see here that picture that I have. I took that picture from the one where it says local EM outreach toolbox. That's what she had put up on the screen. And you know what? She really has a good point. With our communities that we serve, we have to build up our trust for the coalition and our hospitals and so on. While we're in these beautiful, I'm looking out of my window here, the beautiful blue sky days, and not in the ones where the bad stuff is happening. So I'm going to stop here, turn it over to Sean, see if he wants to tell us a little bit about that cybersecurity, critical infrastructure, and AI session.
Yeah, thanks, Sue. Just real quick before I get going, Nicole, I think, was there as well, so she may want to chime in after we're done. So Sue mentioned, obviously, first of all, kudos to Shelley and Kara and Saroja. It was really, sometimes when you go to these summits and you look at the speakers and the bios, you're kind of like, kind of been there, done that. But we all had positive feedback for each of the presentations that we attended. And I went to the cyber where they had two of our, actually not liaison, two of the people that lead the cyber unit at the Fusion Center in St. Louis. So anytime you have these incidents, like I'm sure people have heard recent, the water cyber attack in Minnesota, and they're feeling pretty confident that was probably Iran, but they're still trying to piece that together. But what's interesting is it's easy to armchair quarterback, but they look back and said, you know what, some information had already been shared, and that probably would have been preventable. They are on constant watch, monitoring all the threat activity, collecting certain threat indicators that they've got out there, and I'm not techie enough to understand it, but Lee might be able to speak to it more than I can. But they've got some triggers, basically, and when that occurs, depending on what jurisdiction or what service line, it could be healthcare, it could be power, they will contact those companies and say, hey, are you seeing this? But also at the same time, a lot of times healthcare, we might see something that looks a little hinky, and we can reach out to them. And they've got FBI there. Obviously, a lot of hospital policies state that if you ever have a ransom or a cyber attack, that you should notify the FBI. Well aware that a lot of the VPs, your chief security officers for your IS folks typically are on some type of regional CISA committee where they have those contacts to reach out to. But we were fortunate to have two of the gentlemen there. Kevin he used to be with St. Charles Police, and now I think he's technically on the civilian side. And then Mike, Mike Clinton, I believe, from St. Louis County. And he's really kind of into the phones and how, I think we've all seen where you'll be talking about, hey, I'm going to go buy some cowboy boots tomorrow. And next thing you know, on your Yahoo account, they're showing advertisements for cowboy boots. So everything truly is tied together. Everything is saved on a server somewhere. So you really have no privacy unless you have some $10,000 encrypted phone. You're somewhat exposed. But when this is all said and done, or if they get more, I guess, credible information that something may be occurring in the region or in the healthcare world, then they'll produce intelligent reports and assessments for your, appropriate IS security folks. And interesting fact that I'll end here, they've got a huge kind of response center in South Dakota. And they kind of have like some specialized anti-hacker response unit. And the reason that Mike brought that up is because the director, the lady that runs that spot in South Dakota, happens to be from St. Charles, right across the river. So I thought that was kind of interesting to know that out of all the places in the U.S. to kind of put a main counter, like I guess you call it like a cyber SWAT team, it's in South Dakota. So that was interesting. But yeah, it was very, very well attended. And again, I reiterate what Sue said, kudos to STAR staff.
Absolutely. Thank you. And then we participated in a cybersecurity tabletop. And I have to tell you again, outstanding job. Kudos to STARS for splitting up the dream teams too. Myself, Lee, Sean, Aaron, and our other colleagues from BJC were not all at the same table. They moved us to all different tables. So kudos to you for that. Because, most people typically wind up trying to sit next to each other because we're all friends. That's where we started on day one, was all at the same table. We even each got, I'm trying to see if I still have it sitting here. We even got customized injects for the event, for the tabletop, that I think were a great job. So I'm going to see if Lee wants to add anything to that conversation.
Hey, good morning, everybody. So yeah, the exercise itself was actually surprisingly good. I was very pleased. I always get anxious when we, do these things. There were a lot of what they refer to as hot injects that actually kind of helped really push that exercise in this scenario along. And one of the things that came up, and Sue and Sean can both attest, it's one of my passion projects. I literally stood up and made my statements as we talked about crisis standards of care coming from an event such as this, and the risks that that pose to an organization. And just the words crisis standards, if we say we're doing something different than normal operations, the impact that's going to have. So this was a good opportunity to get in front of a group of people who perhaps maybe can help with getting our trusted government leaders, air quotes, to help actually write legislation that provides us what we need in order to do what we need to do in as low a risk as possible. That there were some, like I said, some good injects that really provided opportunities to soapbox, which was beneficial.
Agreed. And I'll share with you that he really did stand up on that soapbox during that time. But everyone was in agreement with his soapbox as well, too. So then I'll just see if Aaron, if there's anything you'd like to add that maybe we didn't talk about.
No, I think I went to a lot of the same breakouts that you and Sean went. I think the only one different that I went to was the FBI presentation on drones or unmanned aerial systems. Found that very insightful, especially I told the presenter that it was very timely because I'm actually reviewing my drone policy currently. So made a lot of good contacts there. It was just an amazing network opportunity. And I thought the tabletop exercise was extremely well organized and very professionally run, and probably one of the better tabletop exercise I participated in. So thank you.
Absolutely. So I think I'm going to speak for everyone that was there, that this was the inaugural summit, and I will be back if they have it again. I definitely think I can speak for everyone on that. So congratulations to STARS. Excellent, excellent opportunity for every one of us. And if they have it again next year, which I fingers crossed they do, and they do just such a great job, we'll make sure that we include that information here with the Hope Coalition so other people can come and attend. Some of our EMS agencies from here were there when I walked in, and I thought it was great that even some of our EMS agencies participated. So it was great to see such a good mix and diversity of participation. So again, congratulations, STARS. All right. Oh, I'm sorry. So I'll back up. So that's what we expect if you're going to go to something that the Hope Coalition is going to give you money to go to any of these great educational opportunities that are out there. We're going to expect you to bring back information like this and tell us what you learned. Tell us if it was worth our time and money. Obviously we told you this was definitely worth our time. And I believe that if you bring back one thing that's going to help your organization, that's definitely worth it. And from what you're probably guessing by hearing what we're saying, all of us will say we probably brought back more than just one thing that would help our organizations. All right, so now let's talk about that warehouse. I've been bragging about the work that Jen and Lee have been doing at the warehouse, and I just wanted to show you a few more pictures here to give you an idea. This was, I'm just going to use the term hot mess, and I'd like you to see what they have done. There was a table, a metal table that just simply had all of these. Let me see if I can get the little pointer out. All of these right here, these monitors were just kind of in piles on a table, and look what we have now. They have done just an amazing job, and kudos to them for the hard work that they've done. I'd also like to let you see what it looks like in our warehouse. And one of the reasons I am bringing this up is next month we are scheduled to have our in-person meeting here at Memorial Belleville. I'd like you to start thinking about it now before we get to the end of this meeting. I would like to propose that we move our meeting over to the warehouse so that all of you can see what the warehouse, see the difference and the changes and the great work that they've accomplished at this warehouse. So I want you to think about that and think about what your vote will be for that before we get to that part. The next thing I want to share with you is I went over to Missouri Baptist Medical Center on 728, and I was there for a demonstration on the CareCube system. This is something that a few different people at a conference had seen, and they thought it might be something really interesting to take a look at and have them come in. So BJC had them come into one location, and they chose Missouri Baptist to show them. What this is, it's actually very interesting because it's finally FDA approved. And what this is, I'm going to get again that little pointer out to show you. I'm going to go to the one here on what should be your right on the screen. This is kind of just the overall view of what it looks like. So I want you to think about things like viral hemorrhagic fevers. I want you to think about those patients who you may be taking care of with whatever, lack of a better term, whatever new cooties come down the pipeline, right? That's what this is going to be for. So an entire bed will go in here. The bariatric beds do fit in here. I don't have pictures of what we did with it. We went in, we put a table in there with Rescue Randy, one of the heavy mannequins in there. And we tried to do things like CPR on him. We tried to do, and you really use the system for what it is. You can see that these right here, these are the gloves that stay in, and your hands would go inside, and that's how you're going to be caring for the patient. This middle side just shows you the sides actually lean in. It's a fascinating system. It also has negative pressure. You can see kind of how the sides in this first picture are pulled in. That's because of the negative pressure. And it's definitely a fascinating process. Interesting part is that these are good for approved, I should say, not good, but approved for 30 uses. So you can imagine, you can see right here, there's like a little sign-off sheet on the dates and how often it's been used so that you can decide, what you're going to do so you can be cleaning it and reusing it. So we're going to be waiting to see a little bit more from the organization Care Cubes to see if maybe this is something we might like to bring forward to our executive group for a project for 2028, for fiscal year 2028, and have one or two of these available in our warehouse for our different organizations to use. You can put these, you can put them outside your hospital. I don't know if I'd recommend that. You can put them in the hallway so that that patient can be cared for in the way they need to in the ED. So this is definitely something that you're going to be hearing more about from me. They are not cheap, but that could be something that we could use as a resource within our coalition. I'm going to stop there with those two things that I've shared with you and see if there's any questions. I will share that most of you know when someone tells me, oh, you can't break something, I take that as a personal challenge and I go for it. I couldn't break this. Like the only thing they warn you that you could break is these little clips. Again, let me get these little clips right here that hold it onto the pole. That I could see because those are just plastic. They had us try to tear the plastic and the seams and all that, and I couldn't do it. And like I said, those of you that know me, when they tell me, oh, it's unbreakable, yeah, that's a personal challenge to me. But I couldn't do it. So it's got great potential, I think. All right, let's get into our old business now. Can the gloves be changed? So the gloves are taken off after the patient is done. Those become waste. I know it's probably hard to see. Right here, you can see like there's little black O-rings that hold those into place. Those come off and those gloves can be destroyed and then new ones go on top. So yes, those gloves are changed, Yolanda, to prevent that cross-contamination. We did ask that question too. I had some IP folks there that were asking all kinds of questions. All right, so let's get into that old business now. So we have our high consequence infectious disease. Don't forget the dashboard in D4H. That dashboard we're looking at all the different, again, I'm going to just use this word for lack of a better one, all the cooties that are out there that we're tracking. So make sure if you have any changes that you need to make to your dashboard, please make sure that you go into D4H and do that. We really do depend on the information that you as our members put into D4H. When we get asked questions by the states, Nicole will give myself or Lee or Sean a call and ask us, hey, how many, malaria testing do you have available? We're counting on you as our members to put that information into our dashboards so that we can keep track of it. Now, if you've put it in there and nothing has changed, that's great. Don't worry about it. Make sure, though, that if something changes, that you go in and let us know what's new or what's different. Your organizational contact updates. And this really, we've already heard with EM Resource that we need to make sure that you have the right information in there. We need to make sure on our side that we have the right information for you in Everbridge. And Sean is our expert at that, and he does a great job. But the only way that we can make sure that we are getting a hold of you for really any reason is to make sure that we have your updated information. I am cleaning up our email listing because we have a lot of people that are now gone from their different and various assorted organizations. And I need to make sure that we have the right information for you and for your organization. Some people may say, oh, well, I didn't get something. Well, that's because we had the wrong contact for your organization, or we had the wrong email. And I've had quite a few of them bounce back recently, so please make sure that we have your right updated information. MOUs, I have sent those out. I have 3 organizations that have returned theirs. I need them all returned by 8/31. Again, if you have not received your department's or your organization's MOU, please reach out to me. You may not be the person I have listed as my contact. And that's going to be the reason that you didn't get it. Send me an email. I will make sure you get it. Debbie, I do see where you're asking if the gloves are a specialty glove. Sorry, I just noticed that pop up in the meeting chat for the Care Cubes. I asked that same question. They do sell a specific glove for their organization, but they did show that because we went and grabbed some of the gloves that were there available for MOBAP, and we were able to put them on there with no problem. So yes, of course, they're going to want us to buy their gloves, but we were able to put other gloves onto it too. As long as you get that good seal, and there's 2 O-rings that hold it into place, not just one. There's 2 O-rings, so that helps to make sure that you get a good seal around that. And believe me, you'll know if you don't have a seal, because when we pop those off, the negative pressure went immediately away. Like if we didn't have it completely sealed, the negative pressure went away and it set off a warning light for us. So hope that answered your questions. So back to the MOUs. If you don't have that, send me an email and I will make sure I update who I sent the MOU to. Turning it over to Lee for decon.
All right, good morning again. So decon training continues, well, when we get the requests, it does. We are working a class actually for our compadres down in Region 5 coming up in September. It'll be the largest class we've done in well over a year. So we'd love to do some actual training within our region. If anyone would like to host some decon capability training, please do let us know. As you can see on the screen, the minimum requirements are 10 students with a minimum of 7 days prior to the class. And then as far as the maximum, we typically cap it at 18 to 20, depending on the size of the space at the facility. You would need to ensure that you have a functioning decon bay or tent or some form of shower system that is suitable, that is ready and able to run, as well as ensuring all of your, they're ready to go. I do encourage everyone who received decon PPE from the coalition to check your expiration dates, because you should be coming up on expiration for all that material. If you haven't replaced it, that is definitely something you need to be looking at. Suits, gloves, basically everything but the hood and the boots, those have about a 5-year service life. After that, technically, according to NIOSH and OSHA, they're no longer suitable for emergency response. However, you could continue to use those for training. So again, with that, if there is any requests, please let us know. I see Eric has his hand up.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I always have something to say, Lee, you know that. I have a question. Do you have a good grasp, you feel, on the status of decon capabilities at hospitals throughout the coalition? Loaded question, I know, but
it's a very loaded question, and so the answer is sort of yes. I mean, I could make a better than average guess what our total capability is across the region as far as which hospitals have a few people, but that's just it. Everybody has a few people. I can tell you that with the discussions that I've had here internally, as well as with some of my St. Louis side folks, decon across the entire greater St. Louis area has taken such a low priority within the hospitals that if we had a real release or a real incident, we would all be hurting very badly. It's very important that we try to get that capability reestablished. I know at one point we had it. I know you just did a class earlier this year, so I know you've got some folks, but as far as does anybody in the region really have what they need, it's probably a no, including us, and we do the training internally.
Yeah, I would hint to that as well. I think the only way that speaking about ours specifically, the only way we can possibly function is combining the two teams at the hospital. And then even then, knowing what we know about decon and rotating people, we wouldn't make it either, right? Being quite honest. But yet, I feel like we're closer than most. So I guess there's satisfaction in that. Has there been any thought to reaching outside the box? Because I know a crazy person who always tries to think of different ways to make this work. And is it possible that we can provide training to people who are not connected with our hospital facilities?
So, I mean, could we train them? If you're providing them equipment and they join a class, absolutely. The training part isn't the concern. The operational period type thing would be the concern on, who's covering, if there's liabilities, workers' comp, exposures, things like that.
That would fall back on the hospital.
Yeah, so I mean,
Yep.
and that would just be, you'd have to have that written contract. But when you talk about outside the facility, what type of folks are you looking at? Because like hazmat and fire are obviously going to be tasked out to whatever the incident is. What groups are you referring to?
Well, I'm actually thinking about fire, and I can argue that point with you because I don't know about you. Well, you have a little different scenario because a lot of your fire is all one pot, and that's Belleville. Over here in Maryville and in Staunton, we have a lot of little burg fire departments, and some of them participate regularly in hazmat, especially in the Madison County side. But we also have fire departments that have not provided the opportunity to their staff to become hazmat professionals. So they are willing to listen to crazy people like myself when they say, how about you send your people to decon training? Because as you know, they're far from the same. So,
yeah.
And I think that is my craziness of thinking outside the box. Please pick it apart and tell me how I'm wrong.
No, actually, I don't disagree with you. And we have had other hospitals who have had fire department staff attend training with them. Some of them were either part-time staff at the facility or something to that effect, but somehow they were affiliated and they were invited in, and that's absolutely fine. And truth be told, something that I think would absolutely be beneficial to us is if we could get some of those same fire department people, someone with an operations level, hazmat training or higher, to help with decon, to act as subject matter experts. All we have to do is familiarize them with the PPE that we're using, but technical decon is technical decon.
Yep.
Getting all the crevices is really the that's the hard part. The putting on the PAPR, using the PPE that we use versus what we use in a hazmat environment, actually out on a response. We have the luck and the privilege to get to use a PAPR instead of an SCBA. I don't miss those days. But again, going back to the fire department side of it as well, if I can get some hazmat techs who maybe would be interested in helping teach decon, we did that for a while with SES. But my problem right now is we're stretched because we're an all volunteer organization. Same thing with pretty much everyone else I've talked to. Getting the volleys to be able to have the time during the week to do this, because it's almost always a weekday. If we can arrange it, I'm entirely on board.
The one thing I would add with the workers' comp insurance, you'd also have to consider whether the hospital is going to cover them for malpractice.
Okay. EMT, paramedic, what are you? This is Debbie, and I can tell you more than likely they would not want to from a legal perspective, just so you know.
We'll see.
Yeah, you never know, right?
Doesn't hurt to ask, right?
Well, yeah, the worst thing that's going to happen when you ask is they're going to say no.
That's right.
And then I'll share with you my example of that is I was covered for the Fair St. Clair for my workers' comp, because it was part of my role as the coalition and et cetera, et cetera. Playing paramedic there, they did not want to cover me for malpractice. So I have my own malpractice for being a paramedic, and it didn't cost me very much money. So that might be something that you can work out with them. So that's always an option as well. If you get to that, let me know. I'll share with you what I did. All right. Any other questions for Lee about decon training? All right. Upcoming events, turning it over to Sean.
Yeah, Sue, before we go there, I'm going to steal your screen for a moment. I'm going to show,
Okay.
I want to go back for anybody that is new or maybe has not, oh, I'm showing the wrong thing. Has not actually registered in the Hope portal yet. I want to make sure everybody can see this. So we got a thumbs up. Sue, we see Lee.
We can see Lee's fabulous picture.
Perfect. So this is what Lee and Sue and I see when you go in and you update your information. We have work numbers and work emails, where you work and what your title is. And the reason this is important is when we want to target a certain audience for certain information that we want to disseminate, then this is where we come in and we download everybody that's in the directory, which is close to 600 people now. They're not all active though. So if you go back home, another thing I wanted to show, we talked last month about putting all of our documents on the portal here for you to access. So if you go into the files, you'll see we've got agendas and meeting minutes. So from here on out, all of our agendas from today and meeting minutes when they're done will be posted here. Also, the coalition annexes, they all live here. So quick, easy access. This is where you would go to actually download if you wanted to download one of the regional plans. But if you go back, many of you that gave feedback on our previous, I guess, deliverable last year when Scott and I had to get these all done and signed off, this is where you all came to do the review and provide comments and changes. So I just want to make sure that you realize the document is document review, but if you just need access to the file and want to download it, go to files. So all of that exists there now. And Sue's, you know, a stickler on making sure all that documentation is readily available, and it should be. So we're up and running now. Again, if you need any help registering, please let Leah or I know, and we'll get you. And Scott's really handy in the website here as well. Thanks, Sue. I'll go back to the slide then.
Yep.
So upcoming events, we've got the Madison County is going to have their LEPC meeting on August 12th up at SIUE. That was for you Madison County folks. That email came out from Gabrielle from Madison County EMA. Lee's already talked about the decon classes, and we've talked about Remart, what they're supporting in September with NASCAR and Marathon, which they do every September. So appreciate that team and their volunteering for that as well.
Thank you, Scott. I see the update that it is in Heron, not at Belleville Memorial. Thank you for that clarification, Scott. All right. Any questions for the upcoming information or the upcoming training that we have, or events, I should say? All right. So that's going to leave us with the open floor. Does anybody have anything they would like to bring up? That's what I'm going to go over in just a minute, Elizabeth. So do we have an open floor before we talk about where we're going to do that September 2nd meeting? Okay, not hearing or seeing anyone wanting to bring something else up. Our next scheduled meeting is 9/2 of 2026. Again, I had asked you to think about what your thoughts are on moving our in-person meeting from here at Belleville Memorial over to our warehouse, which is in Fairview Heights. Is anybody opposed to this? Okay, I'm not hearing anyone opposed to this. I think you guys are going to really like being able to come over there, check out the area. I mean, check out the warehouse, see all the work that's been done, see all of the equipment that we keep talking about that we have, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, I will still have the meeting available offline, but I do encourage everyone that can attend in person. I really encourage you to be there. But yes, we will still make sure that we have the meeting offered online. So we'll make sure that on our meeting invite, we'll make sure we send out the address to you. There is plenty of parking right in front of our warehouse. So it'll be very easy for you to find. And I just think it's a really good idea for us to be able to show you the warehouse and show you all the hard work in the last, I'm going to say 10 months, that the work has really been ramped up to make sure that our warehouse is exactly what we need it to be. So we will be having our in-person meeting on 9/2/2026 at our warehouse in Fairview Heights. If you have no other questions or no other comments that you would like to bring up or topics, you can and you have put your name and who you're representing in the chat. I see, Sean, you have taken yourself off mute. Did you have something you wanted to add?
No, thank you.
Okay. So if you don't have any other questions and you've put your name and everything into the chat, feel free to drop off and we will see you at our warehouse in Fairview Heights on 9/2.